Man. Just another whoa. Temple football loses to East Carolina 56-34. What's going on, everyone? My name is Hayden Bandel. We're here to talk some more Temple football. And not pretty, right? Thinking after the end of the first half, like, oh, hey, this team might have to actually play for something, right? They're going up against the coach like we talked about last week, where he's an interim coach, it's their first game doing it. And still, Temple comes out of the gates. They're looking pretty good, right? They put up 2 touchdowns. Finally, 2. They didn't have 1 touchdown in the first quarter all season. They put up 2 in the first quarter against East Carolina on the road. They have the lead at the end of the first quarter. All right, they're down 6 at halftime. And then next thing you know, they allow 29 points. And not just the defense fault, obviously, the pick 6 that was thrown by Evan Simon, which also wasn't necessarily all his fault. It was just a really great play that was made by the East Carolina defender. But to give up 29 points, 29 points. That's something that has not happened since 2008 from this Temple program. And for it to happen, not pretty, right? Especially on the road where they just continue to lose, the longest road losing streak in the FBS. And honestly, if I had to make an assumption, these things are just going to start to unravel. And it very well could be the end of Stan Drayton. Because when we look at this, a 22-point loss on the road against East Carolina, a team that just fired their head coach. They just fired their head coach, and you lose by 22. It seems like you're not even prepared. And the guys were just not executing. How can you not execute this late in the season? How? It simply doesn't make sense. We want to talk about the talent they have on the team, and you want to say it's different, sure, then admit it. Because if there's something wrong with the talent, then that's fine. But if you're going to go out there and say that it's not, then I don't want to hear the excuses. And we look at Temple and just everything that they have gone through throughout the course of the season, whether it's switching quarterbacks left and right and this and that, they got to figure it out. Now, Coach Drayton talked after the game about what he just saw go wrong, especially from that defensive side.
No, we had just things that were just not characteristic of our defense. I mean, a lot of guys missing gaps, eyes in the wrong place. It just wasn't, we just did not execute on defense that well at all today. Just poor eye discipline is just, it's not characteristic. I don't really have an answer for you. We're going to figure it out, but our level of execution on defense was not to standard. Just doing things that we have not done in a very long time. And so got to figure out what that is.
And figure it out. I mean, I've heard this all year. It's about to be November. I've heard we're going to figure out in August. And now we fast forward a few months later and we're still hearing we're going to figure it out. Well, eventually you got to show me and not just tell me, because I don't care what you're telling me at a particular point. I want you to show me. I want you guys to go out there, get a win, right? I get it. 1-3 in conference play now. You lose one more game, you're no longer bowl eligible. That would be the 3rd straight season if we're just talking about the Stan Drayton era, who still has not won a road game. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous. Like, it's a joke at this point. It's honestly a joke. And just the focus that this group has at certain points of a game, whether it's like Maddox Trulio. I mean, look, love the kid. Great guy. May get a 64-yarder for Christ's sake. But he's inconsistent. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't hone in on. Because, all right, you can make a 64-yarder. Stuff. That's a distance that probably some, if not most, NFL kickers can make. But then again, most NFL kickers aren't missing from the range that he missed on Saturday at East Carolina. So for everything that Maddox has done good, for everything that he has done, just breaking records here and there for the program, he's still missing some. And I know 58 yards, like, it's not something to sneeze at, but you want to see Trulio be a little more consistent. And this is a team that we saw them lose a bad game prior to Tulsa, right? Coming off of the bye week. And what they do, they had 2 weeks to prepare for Tulsa after They blew it against UConn. Come back, they prepared, they got the win. Wasn't pretty, they got the dub, though. Sometimes that's all that matters, especially when you're headed in the direction that you are. Because let's be honest, we've seen it plenty of time with sports programs over and over. Winning is the only key to success, and that's what's going to fix all the problems. And we saw Temple after their last bye week, because they're going into a bye week now, saw them win. They got no shot. They got no shot. Like 0% chance to go out after the bye week, go to New Orleans, where Tulane is, and beat the Green Wave. Just there's no way, right? This is a Tulane team. Probably they're going to be in the mix to play in that AAC championship game for what's going to be a third straight year. They've only won one conference, they've lost one conference game the past 2+ years. One of those, excluding the AAC championship game last year against SMU, is now in the ACC and not the AAC. But so probably write the script already on that. Bowl game gone. Road streak continues. I mean, they're probably going to go 3 straight years without winning a single road game. And just where do you go from there? And a lot of people bring up, get rid of Drayton, get rid of Drayton. And I'll sit there and I'll say, all right, you want to get rid of him? Who are you going to replace him with? Are you going to replace him with someone that is going to do just as good as a job? Because let's be real, this is the most unappealing position for a head coach in college football. There is nothing more appealing for anyone to want to come and be the head coach at Temple. NIL sucks. The talent isn't good. Your stadium is off campus 30 minutes away. No one wants to go. Why would anyone want to come here? Why would anyone want to come here? So raise a big question, especially with a new president coming in to the university in just a few days. Is it going to change anything? I personally, I don't think so. I think it actually saves Arthur Johnson as well as Stan Drayton from their jobs and their job security more than it hinders it. Might sound a little crazy, but can you imagine a new president who's he has spoken to the board of directors and everyone that's involved with athletics? They have to have some sort of sense as to the direction of the program that he wants to take it, that John Fry wants to take this program to. And how can you have a guy just come into a university that has had, forget about the athletics for a second, that's had multiple just presidents over the last few years? How are you going to have this guy then, who's first going to focus on the on the academics of the institution? This guy cannot come in and get rid of the athletic director and get rid of the football coach. It's ultimately going to be his decision. I don't think there's any way that he's going to do that in his first few months of office. So I think at the end of the day, that is going to help Stan Drayton and Arthur Johnson, and probably just kick the can down the street, because that's where it seems like we're headed with the state of the program, just all the losing that goes into it. And we're going to have another tough season. But when you stand at 2-6 and 1-3, right? So they're on pace yet again, kind of for that 3-9, 1-3 season that they've had the last 2 years under Coach Drayton. So we'll see where the program takes them. But that is going to wrap up this edition of the podcast. Thank you for tuning in and watching. And when we talk to you next, Temple's going to be on a bye, so we're going to have a story come out. And then we're going to have to talk about the game against Tulane that takes place on November 9th. And they actually just announced the kickoff times for that today, which is Monday. So that's going to kick off at 4 o'clock on ESPNU. That's right, national television game for your Owls. We'll break all of that down and more. We're back on the Bandel podcast. Thank you for watching, everyone, and have a great day.